it up for Alex.
Hey everybody, and welcome to my talk. My name is Alex, and I'm here to talk to you about some corporate-sponsored crimes that I did. Oh, you can see that it's Alex with quotes, and you might be wondering, why are we watching my talk on a half-full Chrome window? That's embarrassing. How about, okay, why didn't anyone say anything? Jeez, okay. Oh, you thought it was aesthetic. Okay, yeah, I've heard that one before. So I'm here to talk to you about some crimes I did, and yeah, you might be wondering, why is it Alex in quotes? Why is most people don't put their names in quotes? And it's because a couple of years ago I wrote this blog post, and the people at Vice magazine wrote about it, and they linked to the blog post, and they said, oh, according to a blog post by a hacker who goes by the name Alex, with the quotes. And that's my real name, so this is my hacker name now. And I don't make the rules. Like, when someone tells you that's your hacker name, that's your hacker name. I also last year helped out with this conference called CrikeyCon, which is like an info. Some of you know what it is. Yeah, it's a conference that instead of looking like this, looks like this. And we just thought it would be good because, you know, the whole hacker culture thing is about rebelling, and we thought it would be weird if everyone rebelled in the same very specific way. So now there are two ways. There's more than two ways. And so professionally, I work at Atlassian now, and I have for a couple of years. And previously I did like incident detection and response, so like blue team stuff, like detecting the thing I do now. And now I joined this newly formed red team, and I've been doing it for about 6 months-ish. That was my first red team op, and it was really fun. And it was during that op that I found the technique that this talk is about. And so what actually is that? It's probably time to talk about the actual thing instead of me talking about purple stuff. And so this is a new technique to, if you have a shell on someone's machine, to get their Chrome cookies for their Chrome browser and to do it without having root access. And this is novel because, as far as I know, this is the first time someone's found a way to do this without having root. There's a way to do it with root access, but this is the first way and only way I know about without having root. And I somehow stumbled upon a technique to do this, and this talk is about what it is, how I found it, what I was thinking when I found it, and how to use it and how to not use it, and stuff like that. So you might be wondering, why do I want to do that? Why do I want to get someone's cookies? And well, just statistically, most employees, most people, probably have their browser as their most used software, especially at work. And so just because it's used a lot, chances are that whatever your goal is, all the good stuff that that person does is in their browser just because they use it a lot. And so, like, I don't know, like if you're like red teaming something or hacking it for real, I don't know what your goal is, but it probably looks like something like, look at the forbidden data. Like, there's forbidden data, you want to look at it. And so whatever secret thing is meant to be secret, you want to find it and steal it. And if the browser doesn't contain this data, it probably contains something that will help you get there. So just because people use it a lot is the short answer. Because like, if you could log into someone's browser, you could have this, you could see most of what they're doing all the time. And like, isn't this a very enticing screenshot? Like, don't you like... And it's just a picture, everybody calm down, but still, like, if I was there, imagine all the things you could click. I'm fine. And so imagine that this is the situation that we're talking about here. You have a shell on someone's computer, and you want to log into all their stuff, but just having a shell, that doesn't put you in their email or anything, right? You're just on their computer. And so, like, especially if they have two-factor auth, right? Like, imagine that they've got two-factor auth on, I don't know, their email or something, and then you have a shell on their computer, and maybe you even have their password as well, but you don't have that two-factor code because it's a second factor. Oh, that's how they get you. But like, once you've logged into the website and you've done your two-factor challenge, well, like, you don't have to keep doing it every time you go there, right? Like, once you're logged in, you're done. You don't have to do it anymore. So like let me give you an example. Here's how cookies work, I think. You're like, hey, can I look at my email, please? And then the website's like, what? No, you have to log in first. And you're like, okay, fine. And you give it all the stuff that you're doing to log in. And like, this is very hard. Like, this information is very hard to like fake, because there's a lot of like stuff in there. You need to know the right email address and the password and the two-factor code, however that is. In this case, it's a number. And then it's like, okay, cool. But next time, just here's this magical cookie. Here's a magical session token. And if you just send me that next time, don't worry about all that hard stuff that you just did. So like, obviously, then the next time when you log in, you're like, hey, I want to log in. Here's the magic thing. Oh, cool. Here you go. Don't worry about all that stuff you gave me last time. Here you go. Now here's all your stuff. And like, so obviously we as wannabe criminals, you just steal that thing, right? You don't have to steal all the complicated stuff if you can just steal this like magical key that gets you into places. And like, there are trade-offs to this, right? Because these cookies expire sometimes, and like, it's not all perfect. But I don't know. It seems like the quickest and easiest way to get logged into somebody's thing is just steal their login session. So how do you actually do that? Now that you've decided that you want to actually steal people's login sessions. Well, they're right here. If you're on a Mac, your cookies just live in this file on your computer. And we have a shell, so we can just open that file. But the good folks at Google thought about that, and the file itself is an SQLite database, but the actual cookie values are encrypted with something. And so you can't just read them off the disk unless you have root. And if you have root access, then you can do this thing, where if you want to read their cookies, they're encrypted with a special Chrome safe storage password, which lives in their keychain if it's on OS X. So then you have to get root access, get into their keychain, get the safe storage password, and then use whatever forbidden encryption algorithm is happening on these cookies to actually get the plaintext values. And now you have the cookies, and you can log into their stuff. But that's complex, and also you need root access, which maybe you don't have. And I'm saying that, oh, maybe you can just use this magical cookie crimes binary that I put on the screen to do that. But how does that magic binary that I say exists actually work? Let me show you. First, I should specify that we're specifically talking about Google Chrome, the browser. If you don't know Google Chrome, it's that thing that you install as soon as you get a new computer that takes like 16 gigabytes of RAM to run, because it takes so much RAM, because I'm in desperate need of services. It takes so much RAM because I'm desperately in need of help to manage my crippling tab addiction, so I can stop buying very expensive gamer RAM to store my zillions and zillions of tabs so that I have to not have so many tabs. So that's the one. And why Chrome? Like, why is it only about Google Chrome? And the reason it's Chrome is because I found this thing during a red team up, and that was the browser we had to attack. And also I wanted to show you the name of the red team up because I thought it was really good. It was during Operation Actual Crimes, and that's... And those are the stickers. It's just named that for no reason. And so imagine, like, maybe you have a plan like this. Your plan is to get a shell on someone's computer and then get root access, like escalate privileges, and then you use this to get their cookies via the complicated decryption way I talked about before, and then you log into all the stuff and upwards trending graph and you win or something. But maybe sometimes that doesn't work. Maybe sometimes something goes wrong and you don't have root, or you can't get root access. You don't have the password. And maybe you still want to do all your crimes. Maybe you still want to log into all this stuff. And I was prompted by like a teammate who said, well, it must be possible to get the person's cookies without root access because you as a user can get your own cookies. Like, you can open Google Chrome and click around in the settings and go to this page, and like Chrome will just give you your own cookies because they're yours. So that makes sense. And that made me be like, maybe that is possible then. Because if I can do it, then maybe there's like an automatic way to do it. And so, like, obviously we could just click around, but I don't want to click around on someone else's computer. That seems very rude. And so I was like, well, is there like a Chrome API for this? Can I just like ask, can my shell just ask Chrome, can I just be like, please give me the cookies, Chrome, give me the stuff? Is that possible? Like, I don't really know how Chrome works. Maybe it's possible. And so that prompted a lot of Googling of me being like, what is happening here? How does any of this work? And it was during that Googling that I stumbled upon this thing. There was this GitHub project called Puppeteer, and it's like this thing that's made for like automating Chrome. It's kind of made for like testing and stuff, kind of like Selenium. And it showed me this library, and it says it uses the DevTools protocol, and headless Chrome. And I was like, hello, what is all this about? So let's learn about it. The first thing is headless Chrome. So Chrome can run in headless mode now, which means it's still Chrome, it's still the same thing, but it doesn't display a window on the screen. It's all just happening, not on the screen. And this is deeply powerful and probably all going to go wrong one day. But currently we still have it. And I love not popping up a window, because now I can run Chrome without the person whose computer it is knowing that Chrome is being run, because there's no window. Great. But the catch is that headless Chrome, when you run it, doesn't run as the user. So like when you open Chrome on your computer, it's logged in as you. Headless Chrome is logged in as nobody. It's like incognito. And so I wanted to know, like, oh, well, that's not going to work. I need it to be the person. So is there some way that I can make it log in as the actual user? And so this got me thinking about Chrome profiles. And if you've ever used Chrome profiles, it's like having two browsers. It's like having two different people. It's like having two different user accounts into Chrome. And you can switch between them, and you're logged into different things. And so I know Chrome has the idea of multiple identities, because I know it has this thing, but I don't know where it figures out which identity to use at a time. And so then, in my furious Googling, I found this thing called the user data directory, which contains history and bookmarks and cookies. And I was like, oh, I definitely want to know all about that. And so then I found this GitHub issue, which is somebody's having trouble, and they're using the user data directory and headless Chrome, and something's going wrong with their authorization. And I am suddenly very interested in these very specific things at this time. And so I really wanted to help this person out. And this led me to ask the question, what if I, a legitimate web developer, want to run headless Chrome as a different user? Maybe I just want to do that for my web developing. And so the docs very helpfully tell me, oh, you can just override that directory. There's a command line flag for it, and you can just tell Chrome where you want to read that directory from. Because the profiles are stored as different directories on the machine, so you can, like, this is how you can switch profiles. And so if you add the user data directory to the headless Chrome thing, you can say where do you want to read the data from, and this one on the screen is like the default place where Chrome stores the profile for the normal user. And this is just the default path, because remember, if you run it with nothing, it doesn't use the default path, it uses no path. So I just gave it the normal default Chrome path. And it works. Now now when you run this, you get to see this person's email, because it is you. And I was like, oh no. So now we can just read this person's email, but you still can't see the cookies, because it's just HTML, right? Maybe you could get the full request, but this is not enough, and do I really want to do it like this? Is this how, this doesn't seem like enough. So then there's one more trick. That was the headless Chrome. Remember this DevTools protocol thing that Puppeteer is using? What is DevTools protocol? Well, you know this button, the best button in Google Chrome, the one that gives you all the good stuff, the one you use to activate hacking mode. It looks like this when you activate hacking mode. This window that pops up, is officially called DevTools. And so that DevTools is this window, and the DevTools protocol is how this works behind the scenes, how the data is transmitted. And so I went to this page that is written by the people who write DevTools, and they're talking about the DevTools protocol. This is the official docs, I guess. And they're saying that blah, 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 a bunch of things. Hey, if you'd like to enable remote debugging, here's how to do it. And I don't know that much about red teaming because I've only started, but I know that the words remote and debugging are the good words, and you want to find those words. So I was very interested in that, and I tried it out. But the catch is the remote debugging is not done over HTTP. It's done via some forbidden remote debugging protocol, which is not HTTP. So when you do it, and when you add the remote debugging, it says, cool, I'm listening on this WebSocket URL. And oh boy, WebSockets. I don't really know how those work, but I had to learn. And so, but I'm also currently reading the official Google Docs, the official Google documentation for this protocol. So I'm maybe I can just read it and they'll tell me how to use it. And this is the page where they're hey, here's the protocol viewer. You want to know how it works? Here's what you do. And so presumably on this page, some nice people at Google are going to explain to me, an outsider, how to use their ancient, powerful DevTools magic thing. And back when I was doing this, they say, hey, if you want to remotely debug Chrome and you want to know how the protocol works, you can just sniff the protocol, because that's the best way. You can just inspect what's happening in your real browser, and you can just kind of figure it out. You can just kind of reverse engineer it. And I was like, okay, can't you just tell me? All right, that's fine. And then if you want to sniff the protocol, you just need to use the Chrome DevTools to debug the Chrome DevTools themselves. So just to be clear, they want you to do this. So you have one DevTools, and that one is debugging the previous one, and they want you to just inspect the WebSocket thing. And the ease with which they suggest doing this is very stressful. They just want me to just do it, and I'm not ready to commit to that. They really want me to use DevTools to solve all my problems, and I'm not ready emotionally to do that. But I do know how to use curl, so that sounds way too complicated, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to remotely debug Chrome using curl, and don't act like that's not absolutely wild, because there are some things humans are just not meant to do. So here's what I did instead of that insane DevTools Inception spaghetti thing. I just used curl to look at this /JSON thing. And this is not giving me everything. That has a bunch of stuff I didn't understand at the time. That also has this. And say with me, the one thing you've learned is the debugger word is the good word that you know if you want to do hacking. And so I was like, okay, cool, I do want to do hacking. Let's learn what this URL does. And if you connect to it, WSC is a WebSocket client. I just downloaded some WebSocket client because you need to speak the WebSocket language. And it says, cool, connected, and gives you a greater than sign. That looks like a shell. That looks great. I know that shells are good. But it's not like a bash shell. You can't type ls into it. It's the shell for this weird remote debugging language thing that I don't know. And so I was like, oh, I don't know what to type into this thing. And so I'm going to save you all the hard work and furious Googling and more Chrome DevTools chaos. And here's the thing that I eventually found on GitHub in some extremely cursed Ruby from 2012. I found this is the thing to get the cookies. And it just says get all cookies, so it can't be that easy. But it absolutely can be that easy. And that's it. And so Chrome will just spit out all the cookies for the user. It does say get all cookies right there. And so it prints all of them out, and they're unencrypted, and they're just there. And that's it. That's what it looks like. Thanks. It's just slides. I didn't actually do it just then. It's just a picture. But yeah. So I just explained like a lot of complicated things, and it was kind of like the story of finding them. So now I'm going to show you how it works all in one go. So here's the whole thing. I know there's a lot of text on the screen, but this is the stuff that we all just went through. So you have to run two things. One is you have to run headless Chrome, and you have to tell it to make the user. You can take a picture of this if you want. There's a lot of links afterwards, but go for it. So you have to run headless Chrome, and you have to make sure the user data directory is the default one for Chrome, and then you can open any page you want. I just opened about blank, and you have to enable remote debugging. Then the remote debugging is listening, so all you have to do is send the magical get all cookies command to the remote debugging URL, and there it is. There's actually a step in between where you have to find out what that URL is, but this slide has enough text on it, and I wanted to be nice to you. So there's also, and when you do that, that's it. It just prints out the cookies. It even prints them out in JSON very nicely for you. You don't have to format them, and they're in the exact correct format to put into a Chrome cookie changing extension. It's very convenient. And the value is unencrypted, it's right there. All the stuff is just there. So thank you. And when you put this into your browser, you get the good screen, the already logged in screen. And so if you put this in your browser, you can just be someone else. And you didn't have to, you don't know their password, you don't know their two-factor auth. You might even not know who they are, but you're logged in as somebody when you do this. There's also a different version of this, which somebody very nicely made on GitHub, which is the same thing, but instead of using the WebSocket client on your machine, the WebSocket communication is done in JavaScript in the browser, because Chrome itself is a WebSocket client. And so you just write some JavaScript and you load an HTML page. And so you can use this one if you don't want to download a WebSocket binary, or if you don't have the ability to speak WebSockets, but you do have to do a disk write, and then you do have to send the cookies to yourself somehow. So it's a trade-off. And I think that this way of getting cookies is a bit good, because you don't have to have root access. It's not complicated. You just have to you can just copy and paste it. You don't have to know what you're doing. It works everywhere Chrome works, and you don't have to write to the disk or anything. I think this is good. I'm going to use this. And so I also made a Metasploit module out of this, so you don't have to do all the hard work, and it's just there. And boy, did I learn a lot. Boy, did I have a wild time on GitHub talking to the Metasploit developers, but we made it. And so this uses the JavaScript version, so it does do a disk write, but if you don't have to do that version if you don't want to, you can do it manually and do the non-disk write version. And yeah, we did it. Nice one, me. And so you might be wondering, when should I use, now I know how to do this, when should I use this? When should I steal someone's cookies? Anytime, whenever you have a computer. When do you not use it? It's basically free. So whenever you have this, just smash that button and get those cookies. I really understand the question. And so, another thing is that you've been able to do this ever since headless Chrome was invented, which is about a couple years ago, roughly. And as far as I know, I was the first person to write about it publicly. And I just stumbled onto it midway through an op. I wasn't looking for it really. And I don't really know what the implications of this are, because people look for bugs in Chrome all the time. And I think that I've been thinking about this no I think that the reason that nobody has talked about this before now is, firstly, this is not a bug, this is a feature of Chrome, and there's no bug bounty for this. There's no people who are just doing this for bug bounty money. They don't care about. They probably know about this, and they're whatever. That's not a bug bounty, whatever. And so maybe that's why. But I don't know. Or maybe people don't care about stealing cookies. Maybe no one's doing that. Or maybe they just all have root access and don't need to do it this way. But even then, this way is way simpler. So I don't know. I still don't know the answers to that. Oh well, sorry. You might be wondering how to not have this happen to you. What if you don't want someone to do this to you? Well, in the words of Neil deGrasse Tyson, solution there seems to me is to create unhackable systems. So if you don't want this being used against you, I can wholeheartedly recommend not letting someone else execute code on your computer. And the industry standard best practice is to rapidly acquire blessed amulets, or mysterious crystals, or pay-as-you-go racketeering schemes to prevent people executing that code on your computer. I don't really know what to say at this point. There's also this other thing which is kind of real, called channel-bound cookies, which is public key cryptography but for cookies. So you sign the cookie as yourself, and you tie your identity to it, and that identity lives on your device. So if you move the cookie, it's the wrong identity. But there are many problems with this. For example, you could just steal the signing key as well, and also this is not in browsers very much. It's in Google Chrome right now, but it's currently disabled, and according to a very heated Google discussion I read, it's being removed, I think. And the feature's in Edge right now, which is what Internet Explorer is called post-identity crisis. But even if Chrome used this, like even if your browser had this, it's up to the website that you're talking to implement it as well. So like the browser and the website need to both decide they're doing these special cookies. And people are reluctant to use it because of the privacy implications, because now they're like really explicitly tracking what device you're on because they have a way to do that. And so basically you could solve this problem, but people don't really want to. Also, it's technically within the FERT model of like you're allowed to steal your own cookies, so fair enough. In terms of detection, I don't really know. Like, in theory, you can detect cookies being stolen, right? Because like the website, let's say Google, they know that they gave the cookie to a certain like browser, operating system, IP address, or some other fingerprint. And so they can detect if it moves somewhere else. In fact, some websites, like Gmail and sometimes Twitter, like sometimes a website will like log you out if you move the cookie to a new device, if it thinks that you're in a new device. And I asked someone who might know about this kind of thing and how it works, and they said machine learning, which is the kind of thing that you would say if you just wanted me to stop talking to you about that. So fair enough. But you do have a shell on the target. You do have a shell on the target's machine, right? So you can mimic them perfectly because you could like proxy through their machine. You could use their actual browser user agent. Like you could like use their actual browser, and so there are ways to get around it. I think I haven't actually tried it. I hope so. So also, just in case I told Google about this, like I'm pretty sure this is not a bug, but just to be safe, I told them, hey, this is working. Please tell me that this is all okay. And they were like, yep, it's fine. This is meant to happen. It's meant to do this. I'm surprised that you can change the user data directory and read cookies. Like I'm surprised that you can read the real Chrome cookies from headless Chrome, but that's probably fine. And so, okay, that's fine. What did I learn from doing this? This is sort of like my first time doing this kind of thing, so I learned that sometimes hacking is just like aggressively try-harding. Like I didn't know what to do. I was just like, maybe this will work, and maybe this will work. And there's lots of things that didn't work also. There's lots of me just Googling things and like Googling things for like half an hour and then realizing that I'm like just totally researching the wrong thing completely and being like, okay. And it's also really helpful to have like a community or other people to talk to about this kind of thing, because the whole all the offensive security or hacking and stuff is like kind of forbidden and undocumented. And so like the community is like your friends saying, hey, you should check out Puppeteer or that kind of thing. It's sort of the next best thing we have. Oh, and also the trade-off between having features and having attack surface, stuff to be hacked, is so real, and that's why this is here, right? Like this is not in Chrome by accident. People love using Chrome remote debugging to like automate all their Chrome testing and stuff, but I also love using it to do these crimes. So everybody wins. Time for the strong finish. That was maybe I give up. Whatever. I don't got one. The end. Thanks everybody. Woo!
Anyone got any questions?
Do you know what the story is for other browsers in terms of stealing the cookies as not root?
The question was, do I know what the story is for other browsers for doing the same thing? Off the top of my head, no. I don't know how Firefox does their cookies. I don't know if they're even encrypted at all. No, I just don't know the answer to that. I guess anything that's Chromium is the same as Chrome. So like browsers that are like based on Chrome will have the same thing.
I was going to ask if all Chromium ports were the same. So if it's built in, then it should be, shouldn't it?
I think so, but I really did just like Google this furiously over a few hours. I'm not an expert on this. Did I end up using the cookies in my actual thing? Any other questions?
Another round of applause for Alex. Thanks.